with children who went to college, came back, and began to introduce new ideas and new ways of expressing, and describing our situation as colonized people in the community. My upbringing then was central to my being able to shape my interest, right? It was my father really who taught me Guam history, because he was an avid student of history and an avid student of genealogy. So it was dad who every weekend took me to the museum when we were little. He took us to the museum as volunteers when we were 5 and 6 years old. We were already dusting artifacts in the museum on Saturdays at the old museum, which is the Garden House now in the Plaza de España. And touching these artifacts gave us a sense of history. And he told stories. He researched and told us stories about these artifacts and our ancestors and the people who were ingenious in their technology to create the lati, to create the galaidi, the proa. So he gave us a really powerful sense of who we are and connected us through these artifacts of history. But he also told us about our family genealogy. He researched with prominent members of the Chamorro community who were leaders in genealogy, like Monsignor Calvo, for example, who was my mom's first cousin. He explored who family members were, when did they come to Guam.
I want to say late 80s. After my husband, he finished college at UOG, and then he went to law school for a year and a half in the States. And when he came back, he met the late Senator Angel L.G. Santos, and they were talking about a lot of the issues, a lot of problems that's happening on our island and things like that. And so it became eventually Nation Chamorro. And so Nation Chamorro was actually created as an action group to help our people understand what's going on or inform them as to what issues are affecting our people, our livelihood, and things like that. And so, yes, I agreed with that, and there was a lot of problems at the time. So the action group was like non-political. We were not affiliated with any parties whatsoever. It was just grassrooted people. And yeah, it was a little harsh because we are normally nice, generous people, but when issues are affecting our people in a wrong way, then we need to let our people understand. And at first they gave us all the names in the book, and then, of course, because wherever we protested, we always found, artifacts that our ancestors had left behind. Some were ornaments and some were, tools and things like that. And I know some of these things because my nana used also the lusung and the luma to make her medicines. And so I was very impressed with what I saw and what they created without modern technology. And so I think it was the first protest for the Chamorro Land Trust to implement it. The Chamorro Land Trust was law, but they never implemented it. And so that first protest was to implement the Chamorro Land Trust law. And that one lasted 42 nights. But in that time frame, the boys kind of pulled out the Dremel tool, for protesting. Let's make ourselves, productive kind of thing. Yeah. So they brought out the Dremel tool, and I guess, it's taboo for a married woman to be hanging out with the boys, so kind of looked from afar. And I really liked the tool because I was already a crafter, but having a tool to make my own pendants the way I want it, I was stoked. I want that tool, So eventually, after that protest, the Chamorro Land Trust was passed, and then the second protest, I think it was 76 nights, I want to say, around that time. But then the first time we did like rebar canvas huts. The second time we went high class. We did prefab huts. Bam, 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 we got a house kind of thing. And so because it was cultural, of course, they did the Guma Urita, was 2 stories hut. Yeah, so it was a really nice, beautiful scene, right? Tourists came by for pictures and everything. I said, okay, you guys knock yourself out on that one. I'm going to the hut and I'm going to practice my carving. Leave me alone, kind of thing. So that's how I started.